Hello and welcome back to my channel, Men with Mare. You all, I am here today with a wonderful, important person in my life that is going to be a guest today to discuss her work, her energy work. And we're also going to go into some things about Taylor Swift because we have a hunch that she might be an energy healer. So, welcome to Men with Mare, Gina. Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
It's so good to have you here. I'm going to read a little bit about Gina, and I want to make sure that I honor her in the right way. So I'm going to look a little bit at her bio, even though I do know it a good amount. So Gina Kitzmiller is a Reiki master, intuitive, and energy healer. So she sees clients in person in Ohio, and that's how we first met, and via Zoom. So her sessions are a very unique blend of Reiki, intuitive guidance, and sound healing. So she uses different techniques, which she's going to talk about today. And she helps clients heal past wounds, helps them explore new ways of thinking, and helps them to understand their own gifts. So Gina co-founded Tricona Light Reiki, the new form of Reiki with a unique frequency and vibration. And I can attest that it's amazing. She loves teaching students, especially those new to energy work. She co-created Color Outside the Lines, which offers retreats and cacao ceremonies to help people remember the magic of life. I love that. So most recently, Gina completed a memoir, which I love so much. It is called The Beautiful Ride, My Walk Through Suicide with Spirit. And it's based on her experience of losing her husband to suicide in 2018 and finding her voice, which she is very brave to share the story. And it is a healing book through and through. I can't wait for it to be shared with the world, Gina. I think it'll help so many people. I mean, truly. So let's talk about how we know each other.
Good. I love it.
Okay. So Gina and I met on, I think, like an intuitive pull had to have happened because I, live in New York, but my family's from Ohio. I happened to be in town during a very hard time in my life. And I include this in the book. I write a eulogy to my loved one that dealt with addiction issues. And even though they're still very much alive, I felt as if their spirit was gone and I didn't know who they were. And it was very hard. And I was staying in a hotel in Easton. If anybody from Ohio will know what I'm talking about. And just in the night, I just was like, I know I need Reiki. And it wasn't like, it just was like, I know I need Reiki. And I Googled it, put in a 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. time slot was available. And then I met you. I had no idea what I was walking into. So it was totally a fluke thing. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it happened, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
does that happen to you often where you just go into session, you know nothing about the person usually?
Yes, that actually happens quite a bit. But
Mhm.
I love to hear like the synchronicities, like the appointments like that, where people, just happen to have a block of time and they said I was going to go get my oil changed and that appointment canceled. So I ended up, here to see you. And those are always really special sessions because you just know that the person is where they're meant to be. And in your case, I didn't even know you didn't. I thought your family lived in the area, and we just figured that
Mm-mm.
out, that it wasn't
Right.
anywhere even near.
Not even any, no,
Right.
no.
So,
To Columbus. Yeah.
yes,
We're two
that was
hours
interesting.
south. And so just like the fact that I stayed an extra day and it was a big deal because I was advocating for myself. I was like, I actually need another day in a hotel alone
Mhm.
and to have that free time. Otherwise I wouldn't have done it. I never would have come and seen you. And I also think because if you know Gina, she is you get booked up. And so it's not always easy to just get right in. So that had to have been just like divinely made for
It
sure.
was a good session. I do remember we covered a lot. Like it was like
There's a lot.
very intense and we really went in pretty quickly. So,
Yes. Yes. And why I felt it was so important to have you on is because I value the services you provide. I think that you're amazing healing human being, that we're so lucky that you're on this earth during this time. It's kind of how a lot of us say that about Taylor. Like, we're just happy to be alive during her time. Like,
Yep.
it's so funny. So before we begin, though, I am going to be doing this to any guests that I have on my channel. You have to tell me at least one Taylor song or Lana song that you love and tell me why. Tell all of us why. We want to know because that's important. If you're going to be part of Men with Mare, you got to love music a bit.
It is true. And that's the why, right? Okay. So, which I have to laugh. I have to tell you, first of all, my daughter, Jules, who is soon to be 13, is a huge Taylor Swift fan. And my son loves Lana Del Rey.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I thought it just made me laugh. So we have two fans in the house. But my favorite Taylor Swift song, I really thought about this actually. I would have to say is All Too Well, because she really, I feel like, captures something in that song. And I know we're going to talk about the concert, but when I was at the concert in Pittsburgh with my daughter, I actually got like very teary, and I didn't expect like that emotion to come up, but she just really takes you into, relationships and that feeling that I think is really special. So I would have to say that song because it does feel like nostalgic and beautiful and sad and like everything that relationships can be.
Yes. And it's like you could see it. I see the visions of everything that she's talking about. I feel like I see like the leaves falling down in the fall and like just the whole feeling. And we all know what it's like to be like so in love and then it doesn't work out. And then, but you just like looking back on it, it's like, so bittersweet.
That mixture. Yes. She just captures it, I feel like, in that song so perfectly. So
yes, I love that one. That's a great song. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Wanted to see if you could explain to my subscribers what Reiki is.
Yes, absolutely. So the way, kind of the standard definition that I used to use is that Reiki, it's a very old, like Japanese technique that involves just light hand placement. And so what I'm doing is rather than massage working with the physical body, we're working with the energetic body because you are more than your physical body. So what I'm looking at is to see if there's any areas. If you've ever taken a yoga class, you may have seen like a picture of the chakras, and they usually show these glowing, circle discs, kind of saying, these representing the chakras. I have clients ask me, like, do you see, glowing colors? And like, no, like, I don't look at you and see these glowing discs, but when I'm in the energy field, I am able to read the energy body. So oftentimes that is stuck emotion. It's areas that we may still be carrying some like grief, trauma, maybe some ways of looking at things, such as boundary issues, people pleasing. And so I feel like the sessions go usually pretty deep. I think the one comment I usually get from clients is that they're often more emotional than what they are expecting coming in. And so I think that what we're doing, though, is by sending energy into the body, it helps the person relax, release anxiety, and release kind of these emotions and thought patterns from the field so that you feel lighter, you feel more clear, you feel like you've got that alignment and feel kind of directed then moving forward.
Okay. I know that there are going to be people that watch this that have like a religious background and maybe they think that this isn't okay to do. Does that make sense? Do you ever encounter that? Like, what's your thought on it?
So Reiki is not religious. That is actually a really common question. So it's not religious. There's no religious dogma associated with it. There's no leader. There's no rules. Reiki can't hurt you. It can only help because we're sending energy in to rebalance. That's it. I have clients that are Catholic, that are Christian. I have clients that are atheist, Buddhist. What I would suggest is if someone's uncomfortable is I always think it's helpful to have a conversation to maybe look it up to learn a bit more about it. But at the end of the day, if someone's not comfortable with it for whatever reason, then that's okay. Like then it might not be a practice for you. But I do believe that it's very helpful. I don't think it replaces counseling or Western medicine, but I do think that it can be really a great complementary modality. Even for me as a practitioner, when I'm on the table, it takes a minute or two because when someone has their hands on and, they're intuitively reading the energy, our instincts are kind of to constrict and what are they going to find? And the way that I often explain to clients is that I kind of view it as if we all have like this house, right? And we live in certain rooms in the house that you're in all the time. Well, we all have this like back room that we don't go in. And if there's an emotion, an event, something happens, we just stuff it into the back room. But over
Mhm.
time, that room gets like too full and it starts to kind of come out. And people often don't want to look at it. And you're trying to shut this door that is like things are coming out. So, what I feel like in sessions, I always tell them we don't have to relive the trauma. We don't have to go through everything, but we are going to go in and kind of just clean, do some light cleaning. It doesn't have to be
Mhm.
uncomfortable, and just to kind of get some air, open the windows in that room for you. So that way you've got a little bit more space.
Yes, I love that analogy. That is, I can see it clearly, and I feel like I've experienced it where it's like, yeah, it is that back room, what I would call in psychology, like our subconscious, like a lot of these things that are stored there and in our unconscious mind, though, too, where we don't even realize how much something had an effect on us,
And that's
and
heavy. And there's like a heaviness oftentimes in the field when someone's been carrying, something for so long. And that's why I think it can be really helpful.
I know that with Reiki, you also do sound healing. And my subscribers also know that I love singing bowls. There's something about singing bowls that will seriously make my head twitch sometimes. Like it like releases something. I don't know about the frequencies, but I thought that maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that too.
Okay. So first of all, when you're talking about the switching, that when we're working with energy and sound healing, I feel like in Reiki energy work, they're very well meshed together. They often go side by
Mhm.
side. So when we do release energy, twitching is a really common way to release during Reiki and during sound healing. I would say
Okay.
the most common way to release is tears. It's the body's way of releasing that like pent up emotion. So people often find that they get teary. Coughing is also really a common way that people are releasing, because if the throat chakra is blocked, that's
Mhm.
a way to help kind of clear that. So you always want to pay attention if you're doing sound healing or Reiki energy work or having it done to you, noticing kind of some
Mhm.
of those things of what's going on with the body. For me, sound healing, it's an area that I'm really passionate about. I study it, I
Mhm.
love it. What I found was I was doing hands-on Reiki with clients and I loved it. And I was doing intuitive guidance. And then I started to lean in a few years ago to using tuning forks. And I've got one here I can show you.
Ooh.
So some of them are weighted and some of them are not. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't know if you can hear this, but if you hit it, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. There's a certain
Mhm.
vibration and sound that's coming into the field. So I knew by putting that vibration into the aura or the auric field, you're moving things, you're moving things out. But what surprised me was that when I would be going through, I would start picking up on bits of emotion or even little bits of memory that are kind of in the field that are asking, to be cleared.
So now I want to talk about Taylor Swift and the energy that she produces at that show. In Seattle, I believe the energy from it all created like a 2 point something something earthquake.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
yes, yes, she created an earthquake.
All the shaking at Swift's Seattle show this past weekend, it actually caused the equivalent of a 2.3 magnitude earthquake, and it lasted several hours. That's a new record.
That is
Wow.
incredible.
That is.
Wow. Have
That's
you
when
ever heard
know you're a
anything?
superstar.
There are TikTok videos that show a splash of like lightning hits right at the times that she is singing these certain parts. There's been a lot of things I feel like with the earth and nature reacting to her and all of these people coming together. So what did you feel at the concert as someone who is an intuitive and does energy healing?
I have to say I was surprised. And we had talked before the concert, and you had kept telling me, like, you're going to just be blown away, like the energy,
Yes.
and wait till you feel it. And so I was like, okay, but I'm skeptical. And so I was like, well, we'll just, see when I get there. And I can honestly say I understand why people have such a big reaction to it. the heart opening of just the crowd was amazing. It was like the nicest group of people. And there's, thousands. I think Pittsburgh had like 67,000 people in the
Mhm.
stadium, and everyone was just kind and nice. And like, I felt like in their heart, as I was watching it, to watch her, she's kind of like a conductor, like with this energy, like she's able to hold space for it. And that is
Mhm.
energetically very impressive. I think most people can't hold that container the way that she's able to. And then I did think halfway through the concert, I wonder like what this looks like energetically, like if we could look down on the stadium, because there was so much energy coming up and
Oh, yeah.
out that it was really beautiful, but it was also really powerful. And I even thought for a minute, like halfway through, I almost wonder if like politicians don't keep kind of an eye on her, because it was like there was such a power in that crowd and like the
Mhm.
community that it was pretty awe-inspiring for me, to be
Oh, yeah.
honest.
Absolutely. And I love that you're speaking to the kindness, like the friendship bracelets
Mhm.
I wear all the time. Mine says vigilante shit because that's one of my favorite songs. It makes me feel powerful. Whenever I feel like I need to channel her, I that song I tend to go to. And ironically, this is the shirt I wore in that video. Anyways, my reaction video. Sorry. Side note. So I think that it's beautiful because to see kindness and this unity, and how it's boosted the economy, like the impact of that. I
Mhm.
mean, that's amazing. I also think that, somebody was pointing out how at a lot of concerts it's chaotic and it's stressful and it just was ease. Do you think that Taylor knows that she has this power? Is she intuitively like aware of this and that she is using it? Or do you think that this is just like something was God given and that she just has, or a mixture? I'm just so curious to know what you think
I
about
think it's
her.
a bit of both. I think that she clearly had to step into it and start to own her power. And, I've watched documentaries, and clearly that was, I don't want to speak for her because I don't know her, but
Yeah.
it did seem to be like a theme through her 20s of kind of owning that. I think that she probably does know it on some level now, because I think she seems like she has a respect for, I think, knowing that she is kind of a voice for so many people. What really strikes me about her is her authenticity and her vulnerability. And I think
Mm,
that in her songs and through her lyrics, that really is, she mirrors to people a truth and a vulnerability. And she shows, like we talk about the back room, she willingly opens that door and says, come on in. Like,
right.
this is my back room. This is the shadow stuff that everybody else wants to like hide. And I think that is what her part of her appeal is, because she allows it. And then that allows everyone else to kind of touch into their emotions to maybe be a little bit more authentic. So I would love, like, energetically, because like I said, she's obviously a powerhouse, like in terms of the amount of energetics that she's able to hold for that crowd. But I also think she opens her heart. And my thought is that they're mirroring that back to her, because she's got her heart
Okay.
so open
So
that
open.
you just naturally respond. And I actually found, like, the next day, even that next morning, I was sitting there and I was thinking about the concert, and I just had tears. Like, and I was like, what? And it was just because my heart was like so open that I couldn't stop
Mhm.
crying for like an hour. And I was like, what's
Mhm.
happening? So like she's
Yeah.
clearly doing some big energetics during those concerts.
So I'm so curious about what do you think she's doing to be able to do this every weekend? She doesn't work during the week. How do you think that she is able to keep this up? And she just added dates until, I mean, she's going to be doing this for a long time, this specific tour. Like, do you think that it drains her or do you think it just energizes her? I mean, what is that?
It's interesting. I wish I had like a straight answer, but all I could think was the next day I was exhausted, and
Mm,
my daughter and I just kept saying, like, how is she going to go back out? And I kept saying, it feels like she's just run a marathon, and like she's
yeah.
going back out to run another marathon, and then she's going to do one the following day. And so I do think that energetically she's probably grown, like again, her
Mhm.
field is able to, and I'm sure she is getting energized from the crowd, but she's reminds me of like an ultra marathoner who at some point has
Mhm.
just learned to keep going And then they kind of
Yeah.
just ride that wave, and she's able to do that now.
Yes, I couldn't hear. I had ringing in my ears for like 4 days. And some subscriber said, like, I think you might have gotten damage, which is like my younger niece is right next to me and she was totally fine. Everybody's like, yeah, I don't know why. And I'm like, I think I am very sensitive to sound. I've always been that way. I felt a shift though in myself though too. And I felt like that concert and the way that Taylor was, like to see someone on stage like that is so confident and vulnerable. I think that it just gives you permission that you can be that way though too. And that these things that come across as very different vulnerability. And then we have power, which I always believe it's a superpower, but a lot of people don't. So it's just like she can hold all of this at the same time. And I think it gives all of us permission to do the same.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's
I really do
yeah.
think that. Yes. And she is very open about her relationships and hurt, and it really kind of allows people, again, like that little bit of an inside window, which oftentimes we don't get, with other people could be very one dimensional. They might show a little bit, but I think that she really just kind of, again, just opens the doors and says like, this is me, like just kind of unapologetic. And this is what I feel compelled to put out. And I think that's what people respond to.
Yeah, it is so powerful. Just the effects that you're just seeing, all of these ripple effects and the way that they're bringing people together that typically wouldn't. Because I will say, I walked around the stadium and I didn't necessarily, when I looked at other people, and maybe this is judgmental, but this is like kind of what we do as humans sometimes, where we like look at people, and I was like, I wouldn't typically think that person was into Taylor Swift, but they're here and they're singing and screaming. Like it was just like so, just like how has her music become so like universal and connecting?
I think there's an energetic to it because of the vulnerability that's her. There's like, I believe, we talk about sound and frequency, right? So there's something about the frequency, which is both, I think, the sounds that she's using, but also the words, because those are going hand in hand, that when people hear it, it's affecting their field. It's a certain resonance so that people go, oh my gosh, I hear that. Like I resonate with that song. I understand it. It's touching something in me. And I'm sure that that's different for every person because your relationship history is different than mine. And then my daughter is, younger and hasn't had a lot of relationships. And I even asked her, well, what is it about those songs? Because you have it, you're not married and divorced and all that. Right. And it's cute. She said, when I listen to the song, she said, I still understand the emotion behind it. So she said, I might think about like one of my friends that like we're no longer friends and that makes me sad. Oh, wow. So she's captured into that emotion, even though it's completely different circumstances.
Wow. That's so beautiful. Like, and I'm so glad that Jules, hi Jules, like gets to have something, like gets to have that, and I just feel like music too is such a healer. I want to ask a little bit more. What did you mean about politicians? Like if they're paying attention?
It was the most random thought, but when I was in the concert and I was just kind of tapping into the crowd and the power of it. And, she's like center stage, like kind of really, again, like just kind of directing and holding that space. And I just felt, she's coming from the most heart-based place. So there's this just beautiful heart energy, but heart energy is the most powerful energy. And so I just thought, wow, like there is such power in community and in the unity of this stadium. Like imagine what these people could do if we put this like towards something. It would be amazing. And so that's what I was it just popped in my head of like, I kind of still feel like they probably keep a little bit of an eye on her because it probably makes some people nervous, frankly, because she is a powerhouse and I think people really respect her opinion.
Yeah. That makes me think like, could she run first?
That thought did enter my head, Meredith.
Yes. Yeah. it would be wild. I think I would get behind her. Truly. Before we go, I'm curious, can you give us a little tuning fork or a singing bowl? I want to hear a little bit.
Okay. I was like, I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this with the microphone, but this is a Tibetan energy bowl. So this is something that I place on people. I also do it in the field, but here's what it sounds like.
Oh. That was not what I was expecting for that sound. It was not. It's deeper than the one that
Yeah.
I have. So does that have to do with the size of them or like how they're crafted?
It does. It has to, I mean, both of it. And then there's also
Mhm.
the crystal ones that you often see, like the white ones, and those have
Yeah.
different frequencies as well. So they're all wonderful and amazing in their own
Wow.
right.
They really are. Okay. Wow. So I was wondering, can you maybe do a card reading for or like pull a card, something
Yeah.
like that? Because
Okay.
it is something that I do daily.
Good. It's like my dog might bark for a minute. I think someone
Oh
just came
yeah,
up to the
that's
house. So
okay.
hold on. I was like,
Okay.
and hopefully he won't.
But I kind of like that your dog's barking 'cause it's kind of like, hey,
It's,
you know what I
it's
mean?
the
Like that
the
sound, like,
corgis trying
yes.
to.
Oh, I love corgis. They're so cute.
All right. So hopefully they continue on here. All right. All right. So. Okay, so the card I pulled is Bear Spirit Healing. I don't know if you can see that. That's actually very cool.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
So let's see what this says. So this is one of my favorite Oracle decks. I don't know if you can see that, the Sacred Forest.
Okay.
I love Oracle cards. People often ask if they're tarot cards, and they're different than tarot cards. Tarot cards, I feel like, have more interpretation. These I like because you pick a card and then you read what it says. So
Okay.
okay, so the message is this card will appear to let you know that healing on all levels is occurring and it can come in many forms. Be ready to accept it. Know as well that you are a healing force for others. You may not even be aware that you are a conduit for healing energy, but when others thank you, simply say you're welcome, even if you don't know how it happened. In many native traditions, bear spirit is thought to be aligned with humans as he can walk upright like a human. He represents the healer and good medicine. He bestows healing powers to those worthy, and you are indeed worthy. Bear spirit energy can also represent grounding, strength, and confidence. It activates a stable foundation to face whatever challenges appear in your life. The spirit of bear says, you are a healer and a channel for the life force of the universe. You are strong and grounded. Healing is unfolding and/or a situation is being resolved. Have faith that all is well.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. And I love bear energy.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us all. And I encourage all my subscribers, like, just please let us know in the comments if that resonated with you at all. If you have any questions for Gina or myself, or any other areas that you would like us to go into and in explaining, because, we can make this a whole series if we need to. I have no problem with that. I would love it. And also definitely want to have you back so that we can talk about your book. Can people find it right now? Like, what stage is your book in?
So it's taken like several years to write. So it is complete. I'm really excited. And so now I am starting the process of finding a literary agent for it. So hopefully
Okay.
that will go quickly and easily.
So subscribers, if you know any literary agents, if you know any publishers that this book needs to come into the world, it will regardless. And I, especially if I have anything to do with it, I want this in the world. It helps me tremendously. This was wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on my channel. I feel like I just learned so much, and it's just like really fun to explore and kind of dissect Taylor's power and her energy. It's fascinating.
Thank you. I was like, this was a lot of fun. So I'm glad I get to have
Good.
a conversation about it.
Go ahead and share with everyone how they can find you.
So the easiest way to find me is on my website, which is www.thekarunalife.com. I just recently started a YouTube channel as well, and I'm hoping to start to post more videos with more content on different areas such as grief and boundaries and things that I'm seeing with clients that are often themes.
Okay, like and subscribe, everyone. Like and subscribe to her YouTube channel. I will link it as well below. And everybody be well. Bye-bye.